The Auditor General releasing a new report this morning scrutinizing government activity. Among them, a deeper look at contracts awarded to McKinsey and Company. CTV's Colton Prail has more for us on that from Ottawa. Colton, I know that you were just going through the report. What are you learning?
Yeah, Marcia, this report just tabled in the House of Commons minutes ago, but it shows basically what we expected it to show, and that is that there is reason for a large amount of concern with how the government has been dealing specifically with McKinsey and the amount of money that has been going towards that contractor and whether or not Canadians are getting value for that money and if it's going to that company in a fair manner. The Auditor General has been looking at a number of contracts that were awarded to this company. Since 2011, they've received just shy of 100 contracts for about $210 million. It's a 209.97 contracts. The majority of that money is spent, but what we're learning today and what we're learning right now in this report is that about 70% of those contracts were non-competitive. Multiple were designed, or at least appear to be designed, implemented specifically so that McKinsey would be the winning bidder. And in the area in which the Auditor General specifically focused her time, where she looked at 33 specific contracts, she found, and I quote, a frequent disregard of policies and guidance that was evident by missing bid evaluations and poorly justified use of non-competitive approaches. Now, to break that down, what we're really hearing there is that the government was awarding contracts to a company not based on its own internal policies, but on something else. Something else was driving the rationale for funding this company, for giving these contracts. And in 19 out of 33 that the Auditor General looked at, she found that there was a lack of information allowing the government to demonstrate that they got fair value for their money. So they may have got it, but they couldn't prove that they got it. And that has to be a question for Canadian taxpayers, whether or not this is something that they are willing to accept. There has long been criticism from the opposition, especially around the government's relationship with this specific company, the influence they have on this government. And this report continues to highlight why there has been such criticism, why opposition members have been so quick to say that there is backroom dealings going on between these two, because we're seeing, as the Auditor General found, often was the case, it couldn't be explained why they won their contracts. It couldn't be explained if the contracts were worth it. There was at least 10 instances where there wasn't enough information to support selecting McKinsey as the eventual winner, even though they did win the bids. And more concerning, and perhaps this is the one that stands out to me the most, in 91% of the cases, in 30 of 33 instances, the Auditor General found that the federal government didn't sufficiently estimate the costs of these projects before they began receiving proposals from contractors to bid on them. And so this is highlighting a number of questions that the opposition has frequently had for this government, and it backs up previous reports we've seen from the Ombudsman for the procurement division of government, who found that these contracts were frequently sole sourced. They frequently didn't happen through a competitive process, and there was oftentimes a lack of information justifying how McKinsey became the eventual winning bid or the contractor who got to do the work. They're a company whose work under this government has spiked, especially since 2017, and this further adds fuel to the fire here of those allegations that there is a very friendly relationship between those in power in our government and those who are at the highest level of this private contracting company.
All right, Colton, thanks for that reporting. I know you've got more stuff to pour over. Appreciate you joining us with that.